With that said, I will hand over to my colleague Teresa for sharing some more info on the call.
Thank you, Jennifer. Um, yeah, so we already have some questions in the Q&A tool, and that's great. We've already answered some as well, so keep them coming, like Jennifer said. Now for the general aspects of the call. So to those of you who have been part of a DUT call before, you will not hear much new information here, so a lot of it has stayed the same. But there are some news also regarding the website, as you can see here. So it has gotten a facelift, so to speak. Um, but all the data that was there before can still be found on the website, which means the call text, the proposal templates, and then everything is still on the website. And these slides, as well as the recording, will also be on the website. So go ahead and switch to the next slide. Thank you. So the key dates and the deadlines. Just a quick overview. They can obviously also be found on the website. We had the call open on the 1st of September, so last week. Today is our info day. That means after today, you can start working on the proposals if you haven't yet, and you will have until the 17th of November until the stage one closes transnationally. So there might be differing dates nationally, so be sure to get in touch with your funding agencies and check the Annex A of the call text regarding this. For stage one, we will then be working on the evaluation as first the eligibility checks and then the evaluation until February, when you will get the invitation to the second stage or also the information that your proposal has been rejected, depending on the outcome. The outcome will arrive in February. Those of you that are invited to the second stage will then have their proposal reopened in the submission system, and you will have until the 23rd of April to submit your full proposal. Then after the closing of stage two, we will go once again through the eligibility checks and then the evaluation panels, and the funding decision will be announced in July of 2026, giving you hopefully plenty of time to get ready to start. And the expected start of the project is end of 2026 to beginning of 2027 is what we say here. What we mean is they should be starting in January of 2027, ideally at the latest. Okay, next slide, please. So here's something that does change every year, the participating countries. You have at the top the entire list, and you also have it obviously displayed on the map. There are some countries that are not eligible for co-fund, which are also marked as AP for associated partner in Annex A of the call text. This year we only have three. So we have some countries, I guess this year only one country that was not eligible for this last year and is eligible this year, and that's the Republic of Korea. Um, and yeah, so the importance of this, whether the country is eligible or not eligible, is because we do have a rule that is also listed in the call text where your consortium has to have at least three participating countries, so three countries from this total list, and at least two of those have to be also eligible for co-fund. So that's very important to keep in mind. It is also obviously very clearly stated in the call text as well.
Mm.
Next slide,
Teresa,
please.
before we move on, can I
Yes.
ask a question here? So let's say I'm from a country that are not on the list here. Uh, would there be a possibility for me to still join a DT project?
You can still join as a corporation partner, which means you're not funded. So you can definitely join in as a self-funded partner. There is also, we have a corporation going this year with Malta, where if you do, you still have to join as a corporation partner because they are not directly involved in DOT, but you can, after your project gets funded, get in touch with the funding agency and basically get your money back, so to speak. So the details for that are listed on the website. Other than that, if it's not Malta, not listed here, the only option you have is joining as a cooperation partner, which means you have to cover your own bills, so to speak. Yeah, but thanks for the question.
Thank you for the answer.
Next slide, please. Perfect. Yeah, so this is important to note. The fact that we have different funding agencies and DUT does not fund your project directly means also that you are dependent on the funding agency's rules. So DUT as a whole does not have rules against a specific type of corporation or organization or whatever that may join the project. However, it is possible that the funding agency in your country that would have to fund you maybe doesn't fund municipalities or whatever. So you have to always make sure to check in with your funding agency. You can do that either today in the break-in session. Almost every funding agency is participating in these, or you can go to the call text and scroll down to Annex A, or it's also in a separate Word document if you just want to look at the annex. Sorry, PDF, if you just want to look at the annex, and you can find the rules of the participating agencies there as well. So that's very, very, very important to keep in mind, because in order to actually get to the evaluation panel where your proposal is scored, you first have to pass the eligibility checks, which means the funding agencies will look at you and your organizations to make sure you're actually fundable. And if you're not fundable, you will get rejected before you even get to the eligibility, the evaluation panel. So it's very, very, very important to read through the rules of your funding agency. And if there are any things that are not clear, to also reach out to them, and maybe just reach out to them anyway, just to be very safe. Right. Next slide, please. So this is a very quick overview of the application process. We will look at it later in more depth as well. It is a two-stage process, as I already sort of teasered when I went over the timeline. We have the pre-proposal, which is not as detailed as the full proposal. It's a project description and a description of the partners, and a rough breakdown of the costs. And then if you are invited to stage 2, you have to submit a more detailed proposal, the full proposal. And if that is then selected for funding, then you've passed basically, and you will be funded, hopefully, unless there's anything else going on nationally. But that usually this is when you get funded then. That's the transnational part. The regional part and the national part, so national, regional, the distinction is there because some countries have different regions and therefore multiple funding agencies participating. Like I mentioned, there are national criteria that is also, those are very, very important to keep in mind and to abide by. And also important, some funding agencies do require submission of the proposal also on the national level, which means through their own websites, through their own funding systems, whatever is the case for that funding agency. And the timelines for that might be different to the transnational timelines. So be sure to check the national annex, ask the contact points listed in there, just so you don't miss anything important. Also, because I keep seeing questions pop up in the chat, please make sure to use the Q&A function, because it's much easier to keep track of, and also so that, yeah, it's just easier to keep track of for us so that nothing gets lost, basically. Okay, next slide, please. So this is already what I said earlier. These are the transnational rules. So transnationally, the rules regarding who can apply, what can be applied for, and how much can you apply for are quite open. So who can apply? You see this on the slide. There's quite a long list. We encourage research organizations, companies, commercial enterprises, urban government authorities, as well as stakeholders and other actors to apply, depending obviously on your project or your proposal. Some might make more sense than others. However, what's important is that a project must have at least 3 partners from 3 different countries, like I mentioned, and those 3 countries, 2 of those must be from co-fund eligible countries. And what's also important is that your proposal must include a municipality or local authority. And this municipality or local authority does not have to be a funded partner, so they can also be a cooperation partner, which sometimes, speaking from experience, is easier for municipalities. So if none of the countries in your consortium cover funding for municipalities, then they can participate as a cooperation partner instead. What can be applied for? So obviously we already talked about the topic. So just the general sense is that it's three-year-long research and innovation projects that we're looking for, with obviously the focus on the topics we already discussed. The call does welcome a wide range of scientific disciplines, such as strategic urban research, applied urban research, and innovation. And how much can you apply for? There are no fixed minimums or maximums, at least not transnationally. Most projects tend to fall within the 1 to 2 million range for all partners together. Next slide, please. Yeah, that's what I already said. And the roles in the consortium is we have the main applicant, that is basically the coordinator. It's the organization that coordinates the projects. So they are the ones who are responsible for most of the application. They are supposed to be also the ones who coordinate the work packages and so on. Then we have co-applicants. They are also applicants, so they also receive funding. And they are then eligible for funding from a funding agency, as well as the main applicant, which means both of those get funding. Then we have cooperation partners. These partners do not receive funding. So they cover their own costs. And usually you add them also in the consortium, but I suppose if this is for some reason not possible to add them in the submission system, you could also just have them as an LOE partner. However, what is important to note is that if you just submit an LOI from a cooperation partner, then they do not count towards the municipality involvement rule. So if you have a municipality and they have only submitted an LOI, then they are not involved enough, I suppose, in your proposal to cover that role. So be sure, if this is your only municipality, to actually include them in the system so that we can actually see them and can know that they have also agreed to be part of the proposal. What's important to note for the, sorry, go one slide back, thank you. What's important to note for the eligibility rules is that principal investigators are the main people acting for that main applicant or co-applicant. And this is important because there is a PI rule in the call text. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, next slide. And there we go. So we've already covered that. So I suppose that's just a closer look at what can be applied for. But like I said, transnationally, we are quite open. Nationally, it really depends on your funding agencies. Okay, next slide, please. This is now a look at the research and innovation activities that can be supported. So as you can see, you have to choose a research approach. This means this is basically one for the whole consortium. So this can be more towards research oriented or more towards innovation oriented. And depending on which approach you chose as a whole, your partners inside the project can then choose their research type, so to speak. So at the very bottom, so to speak, of technology readiness would be strategic research, then sort of in the middle is applied research, and then if it's quite close to the market already, it's innovation. So this is transnationally speaking. Nationally, there are also some funding agencies that don't fund one or the other approach. So that's also quite important to keep in mind. Okay, next slide, please. This is now the transnational eligibility criteria. So the first one we've already talked about a couple of times, which means that you have to have at least 3 countries that are eligible for funding by DUT in the consortium, and 2 of those have to be eligible for co-fund. Then what's also important is that the main applicant has to be from a country that is funded by an agency participating in DUT. So the main applicant cannot be a cooperation partner. Next is the PI rule. So a person can only participate in a maximum of 2 proposals as a PI, and of those 2 proposals, only one can be a main applicant. So if one person is participating as a PI of 2 different main applicants of 2 different proposals, this would unfortunately mean that they are transnationally ineligible. So please be sure to keep that in mind. We have had cases like this in the past. Yeah. Next is something we've already talked about as well, which is that you have to include at least one urban government authority partner. They can be an applicant or they can be a cooperation partner. 5 is that the duration of a project must not exceed 36 months. We have had some projects in the past that were a little bit shorter, between 32 and also 32 months, but the maximum duration is 36 months. Next slide, please. What's also important is that since it's a transnational call, the pre-proposals and full proposals must be written in English, and they must be respect and be basically based on, but also respecting all the rules laid out in the proposal forms that we published on the website. So the pre-proposal template can already be found on the website, and it mentions page limits and so on. So please do respect those. Then the next rule is that obviously you have to submit it before the deadline. And only if you are invited to the second stage can you then also submit a full proposals. 9 is also important, which is that you cannot fundamentally change your pre-proposal and full proposal between the stage 1 and stage 2 unless it is initially initiated by your funding agency. So this could be a partner change, API change, whatever. It has to be initiated or at least approved by your funding agency. So if this is something that you have to do for whatever reason, please get in touch with your funding agency first. Otherwise, the call secretariat will say, well, we can't approve this because we don't know if your funding agency approves. Yeah, and like I already mentioned a couple of times, national and regional rules may be more restrictive. So please definitely check the call text and get in touch with your national and regional contact points. Okay, next slide. Yeah, this is just an overview of how the national and regional eligibility conditions may differ. So the type of eligible partners could differ. It could be that they have funding maximums in place. It could be that there are certain topics or even whole pathways that they don't cover. That there's types of research that they don't cover, or even that you have to submit it at a national level, and there's multiple other options as well. So definitely check the call text for that. Next slide, please. This is a sort of hopefully not too confusing example of how the national and transnational criteria can make consortium building kind of difficult. So as you can see, all of these 4 countries listed there, which are obviously fictional, have very different rules. So it can sometimes be quite intransparent to understand if this is actually something that you can I guess, to get over as a consortium. So it is possible that sometimes some rules of funding agencies are such that it is just not possible to have participants of country A and country B in the same consortium because the rules contradict each other. So that is important to keep in mind. Next slide, please. Yeah, like I said, that's always important. And please reach out to your contact points if you're ever not sure about a rule or what it means for you as the consortium specifically. Your funding agencies are happy to help, and this is basically their job. So yeah, definitely reach out. Reach out one time too many as opposed to one time too few. Okay, next slide, please. I think is this already Amina that I'm giving
Yeah.
over to? Yeah.
I think
Okay,
so.
Amina, take it
Thank
away.
you so much, Teresa. Over
Thank
to
you.
you then, Amina.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. So I'm Amina Gorbel from INR, and I'm here today with my colleagues to present the process for submission. So regarding the proposal template, you must know that there is a proposal template in the DUT website, and the full proposal template will come late during the process if you are selected to stage 2. So Teresa mentioned that the language should be in English, and you have to respect the formatting requirements like the font size, the line spacing, etc. It's important to not to go over the recommended max limit pages per section. This limit is indicated within the text. So when no page limit is indicated, the section does not count in total page limit. For example, you have the section 2. It is necessary to follow the table format of section 1, the project overview. No page limit is indicated, but no possibility to add or remove parts in this table. It's important also to have a detailed financial information in the financial information section in the online submission platform, as well as the project partners of the consortium. For the section 6, regarding the references, it is divided in two parts for more clarity. So you will have the part, the reference from the consortium and the references from the state of the art. Next slide, please. Here you have the table of project overview. So all the information must be also inserted in the UD Manager platform by the main applicant. The financial aspect also need to be informed in the online submission system. I think my colleague Elena will explain later all the detail regarding the UD Manager. The platform where you are invited to submit your pre-proposals and proposals. So regarding the, you have different boxes here. You can, for example, mix both approach, but you can only be selected and defined as the main approach, for example, innovation or research. And you can also choose a secondary transition pathway. But it's important to know that there is a main transition pathway that you will be selected or invited to submit your proposal. It's important also to indicate all relevant subtopics from the main and the secondary transition pathway. And then in the project consortium box or table, you are invited to fill this table with all the project partners and all the contact person, the country, and the type of organization. And for the PI, it's important to mention the PI of the organization as a contact person. Next slide, please. So, as mentioned before, this submission or this evaluation and selection process is composed from two stages process. So we have the pre-proposal and the full detailed proposal. The evaluation will be conducted by an international independent expert panel at both stages. The call secretariat and the funding agencies are involved in this process of inviting experts and validating the panel. Evaluation of expert panel will result in 6 ranking lists corresponding each to a specific transition pathway. As you know, we have 3 transition pathway, paid 50 minutes city and queue, and for each one we are going to have one ranking list for a research project and one ranking list for innovation projects. So the selection will be done by a steering committee representing the funding agencies based on the ranking list and also on the available national and regional budgets committed to the call. It is important to choose the most relevant transition pathway regarding your project and also to choose the relevant approach for your project research or innovation. Next slide, please. So for the two stages, the pre-proposals and also the full process, the full proposals, you will be assessed by a panel by expert international panel, as mentioned before, and we have three criteria. The first one is the excellence and intellectual merit. The second one is the impact and user engagement, and the third one is quality and efficiency of project implementation. For each criterion, the evaluation score can go from 0 to 5, and then we can have an overall score for the pre-proposal or the full proposal. For each criteria, we have like sub-criterion. Some sub-criterion are assessed in stage 1, and some other sub-criterion will be assessed only in stage 2. Next slide, please. So for the first evaluation criteria, excellence and intellectual merit, we have like the three sub-criteria for stage 1 are clarity and pertinence of the objective, the credibility of the proposed approach and soundness of the concept, and the third one is the added value of transitional cooperation. And then we have two more sub-criterions that will be assessed only in stage 2, like clarity and feasibility of the project design and of the proposed methodology, and the identification of risk and mitigation plan. We have also some sub-criterion adapted to research and the other for innovation. And these two criterion will be, those sub-criterion will be assessed in stage 1. The first one is originality, contribution to new strategic knowledge, progress beyond the state of the art, and for innovation projects is innovativeness of the approach compared to existing solutions. Next slide, please. So for the same thing for the criterion 2, the impact in user engagement, we have sub-criterions that will be assessed in stage 1, like the relevance to the call topic, the integration of diversity and gender, the engagement of stakeholders, and we have one sub-criterion that will be assessed in stage 2, the effectiveness of the proposed measures for the dissemination and exploitation of the project results, which will be both at the transnational and the regional levels. Then we have sub-criterions for research projects, like the potential of the project to provide insights to an important societal issue and produce useful knowledge for stakeholders, and the sub-criterion for innovation approach is market potential of the project and or capacity to respond to a demand or a need. Next slide, please. The last criterion is the quality and efficiency of project implementation. Here we have, like the other criterions, some sub-criteria that will be assessed in stage 1, like the composition and the quality of the consortium, the complementarity and the balance, the feasibility of the time scale, the global value for money, and the properties of allocation of task and workload. This will be assessed in stage 2. Here you have the list, and you have all this information in the call text, so you can get more details when you read the call text. Now I can hang up to my colleague Elena, that she will explain in more detail the EG platform. Thank you.
Yes, and we're a little bit behind schedule, but I think it's important to give you here the opportunity to see how to navigate the submission platform. So if you want some insights on this, hang around to listen to Elena present this. Otherwise, you can also go on a quick break, but we'll go through the submission platform now before we head into the Q&A.
Thank
So,
you,
Elena.
Jennifer. Thank you very much. I'll try to be as brief as possible because you will find all the information also on our calls webpage together with guidelines. Okay, someone has muted me. Now I should be fine. First of all, as on any submission platform, you need to create your profile. On UDI Manager, we are giving access only to the main applicants, and it is really important that the project coordinator, aka the main applicant, in our calls language, should be aware that all the communication with the call secretariat will go through or via the main applicant. Therefore, any message from our side that needs to be shared with your consortium partners should or is or falls under the responsibility of the main applicant. Again, when creating your profile, make sure you are checking also the spam folder, as on any electronic submission system, your credentials may get there, or your activation codes. Next slide, please. Once in the system, for those who already have a profile, they will see the call and they can just submit a pre-proposal, and they will see all their submissions, past submissions too, in their UDI Manager account. For the new applicants, just go ahead and press submit a proposal. We tried to make your life as easy as possible. Next slide, please. So that with the submission system, we're trying to follow the requirements of the call, transnational ones, but also trying to solve as many things as possible from the national requirements. So for the main applicant, the first one to get in the system, you will find 4 main areas. First of all is, general information about the project, the financial one, which is really important. Then other documents, and most important one is verify, finalize. For this one, please make sure that you press it before getting to the final phase of submission. So always try to do that, because with that function, you will get the chance to see what's missing. I don't know, a PIC number from one of your partner, or whatever other information that may actually hinder your, or you may have a problem with the submission. Therefore, always use that button. It's there for you to make your life easier, as already said. Next one, please. All right, so the system itself will always help you to answer the calls requirements. You will be able to choose the approach you want to apply to, the transition pathway. You will find there also indications about what and how to add a partner, if we're moving to the next slide. In the consortium structure. What's new for those who already used our submission system is that the pre-proposal PDF, the one that Amina has described earlier, will be uploaded now in the first section, not as it used to be in the past in the other document section. That one will be a section that somehow supports us, the co-secretariat, in a dialogue with you. So if we may need a different information from your side, then we will do that by asking you to upload your document there. Next one, please, Maria. The most important thing for you is, the PIC number, the one that's being requested by the European Commission. And that's mandatory. We cannot avoid it. Therefore, if you don't have one, or if one of your partners doesn't have one, you can just quickly get into the European Commission website, create one, and use it here. That goes more or less automatically. So you paste your PIC there, or your partner's PIC, and then you can import the data inserted in the European Commission's portal. And that's something you can easily work with, because you will also find your link into the submission system. All right, next one, please. And here you see how it works. So it's actually an easy thing for you to do. Next one, please. Well, again, Teresa also mentions the fact that we need a confirmation from your partners, and we need all your consortium partners in the system if we want to count them as applicants, co-applicants, or cooperation partners. So we need their data there. For that, through the submission system, we also have a function that requires the contact from that person to confirm the participation in such a consortium. Therefore, once you have added one partner, the partner will receive a message, and they need to confirm that by email. So it is important to make sure you have all the correct information for your partners in the submission system. In case this doesn't work, you can resend it. And if it doesn't work, then you just come back to us with a question, or with a, I don't know, the indication to whom to send that message, and we can support you with that. Next one, please. It was also in the previous call, but now we have continued that for the current call. So if you have 3 organizations applying from the same country, it is important for the funding agency, or for us in the call secretariat, to mark the national contact point, so to say, from that consortium. So if you have a university, a company, and an NGO, you choose the university or other organization to be the contact point for national eligibility checks, or whatever other information may be needed by the funding, the national funding agencies, those who are actually checking how much money you are asking, and if you are eligible for that funding. Another thing, it's the abstract publication. That's something that's clarified also on our Pulse website, but it's, to make sure we have your permission to have this abstract published, in case we will need, I don't know, an additional partner in the second phase. Next one. And an important thing for you is to be reminded that you can upload and replace before submission the documents that you are using, both for the PIs, for example, the CV or the pre-proposal itself. So that can be changed until the deadline or the submission of your proposal. In case you have submitted the proposal, but still you have some changes to do, that's also possible. You come back to us, and our IT team will support you with reopening that. Be reminded that's of course possible before the deadline of the first phase or the second phase. Next one. New with this call, in the past, in the last call, we also had this fixed mandatory keywords. So now with the current call, we will have 2 fields for this keywords. The first one is referring to the predefined list of keywords from the European Commission, because our projects are also transferred, or data about those projects is transferred to the European Commission. You have a predefined list where from you can choose the best that suits your proposal, and you will find there how many you need to do, or if you need an additional one, you'll find the field for that. But with the current call, we have introduced, let's continue please to the next one. We have introduced an additional field with keywords, and these are really meant to ease our work, and I don't know, to make sure we get the best reviewers, independent reviewers, for your pre-proposal or full proposal. Therefore, you are supposed to choose up to keywords that should be relevant when looking at the reviewer's profile before putting together the independent panel of experts. Next one. And here, as Amina mentioned, the financials are in the system, and we need these to make sure we know how much we ask for the funding agency, how much contribution it is from your side, if it is the case. But most importantly, when you select the funding agency you are applying to, make sure you are also selecting the type of research that you are applying for. It may be basic research, it may be implementation, it may be innovation. Just make sure you clarify these categories in the system, because when the funding agency will make the eligibility checks, they will look at these details and also make sure you respect how much you ask for from the Annex A, where the conditions of the different funding agencies are published. Next, and I think this should be the last one. Yes, this is it. Here again, don't forget about this verify, finalize, and use it like, I don't know, when you start creating the proposal, actually. Just make sure you're not missing small stuff before the submission. And yes, I think that's all. Thank you very much. You will find our call secretariat contact on the website. Feel free to come back to us with any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elena, for that run through. You will also find slides on the submission platform guidelines on our website. We will also post a recording of the sessions in case you want to revisit anything that was presented today. We will quickly move into, or soon move into the Q&A session, but I just want to show you the matchmaking platform as well, which is a space that we have created for you to be able to network and find product partners. The link is also on the call page on our website, so you can go there, register a profile. You can browse other participants' profiles to schedule one-to-one meetings if someone is interesting for a project. You can also post your own project or marketplace opportunities, as we call them there. Indicate if you're looking for partners to your project or if you're looking to join another consortium of a project. And this is in the Marketplace Project Cooperation tab under Matchmaking in the top menu. We're already at 11:15, so we'll skip the break. Here's the QR code for the Matchmaking platform if you want to go in there already now. Otherwise, as I mentioned, there is a link also on our website to the Matchmaking platform.